You want to look good in your underwear and be comfortable, right? But that perfect balance is hard to find. Don't sacrifice style or comfort. Check out MeUndies. August is National Underwear Month, and to celebrate, MeUndies is making it easier than ever to try the world's most comfortable underwear by giving you a risk-free guarantee. All National Underwear Month long, if you don't love your MeUndies, they're free. MeUndies are made from Lensing Micromodal, a sustainably sourced, naturally soft fabric that's proven to be 3 times softer than cotton. Micromodal is an all-natural, breathable, eco-friendly fabric extruded from Austrian beech trees that actually inhibits odor. No stinky undies, just soft, cool, and cozy MeUndies. MeUndies are the ultimate feel-good undies for when you want to feel naked but not actually be naked. All National Underwear Month long, you can feel them for yourself, risk-free. It's simple. If you don't love your MeUndies, they're free. Now until August 31st, get 20% off your first pair, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/blogtalk. That's MeUndies.com/blogtalk. MeUndies.com/blogtalk.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
You are tuning in to a Goldilocks Productions presentation of the Quantum Path Radio Show with Dennis Anderson. Dennis is a psychic medium, a hypnotist, and spiritual teacher. He has had a gift to perceive the subtle energies from an early age, turning off the gift at the age of 20 to live life, love, and understand human behavior. To have it reawaken again during his late 30s due to a calling that was loud and needed to be answered, Dennis was urged by Spirit to learn more, grow more, and share his gifts that others can benefit by exploring their own unique abilities. Call in now if you would like to speak to Dennis. The call-in number is 713-955-0594. Press 1 so that you can get into the host queue.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Quantum Path Radio Show. As stated at the top, my name is Dennis Anderson, and I'm very excited today just because of the fact that I do have a very special guest with me today. His name is Richard Leach, and let me put it to you this way. This guy he's a fountain of knowledge. Like, I actually met him, over at one of the psychic fairs that we normally go to, I guess you could say, or partake in. And let me put it to you this way. Like, his understanding and knowledge of energy and the way it kind of moves and so forth is actually pretty good. You know, like I'm really impressed by him, actually, to be honest with you. And let me put it to you this way. I was kind of going through his biography and so forth today, and I was like going like, holy smokes, this guy he's got a lot underneath his belt. But before I introduce him, I just want to quickly go over a couple of things with everyone today. If anybody ever does want to get a hold of myself, or as well as my guest as well, you can reach me at mail@DennisJAnderson.com or just on through my website at DennisJAnderson.com. And just another couple of things, too, that I'm also going to be just over at the doing some psychic development over at Moonflowers and Happy Soul over the next few days. So I'll be over at Moonflowers on August 16th, which is up in Stouffville. And then I'll also be at Happy Soul in downtown Toronto on August 25th. On the 26th, I will be at Breakthrough Books in Brampton, and that's where I'm going to be doing my aura photography. So if you are interested and if you are in the area, feel free to stop by. And let me put it to you this way. It's always kind of interesting because this way you can actually see your chakras, where the aura colors actually come from and what everybody is kind of talking about. So it's always kind of interesting. And like I said, it's a fun way to explore and to see kind of like where you're standing. Because auras, let's put it this way, they have a strong connection to pretty much everything, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional even for that matter. So, without further ado, I do want to wish to thank Richard Leach for joining me today. So, Richard, are you there?
Hear me?
Oh, there you are. Okay, perfect. Welcome to the show, Richard. I really do appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome. I wasn't sure that I was actually getting through on the line here because I had no idea if I was connected, but I'm good. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, no, there's usually always that little bit of delay or whatever it is, right? So it always makes things fun. Let me put it to you that way. So anyway, so today, just our format, like I know that traditionally I do have people that do call in for readings and stuff like that, but today I want to have it twisted just ever so slightly because Richard has told me beforehand that he actually has his KarmicDNA system up and going here. So if there is a quick question that you do or are curious about, I guess you could say, feel free to give us a call. That number is 713-955-0594. And that's everything east and west of the Rockies, if, according to our coast-to-coast type people that may be listening out there. And anyway, welcome once again to the show, and I really do, like I said, appreciate you coming on. So let's get right down to it, shall we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I guess the first thing I need to do is tell you what KarmicDNA is.
That would be awesome. And where did you actually, well, let me ask you this. I know that you've been doing this for a lot of years. I think it's been around, 20, you mentioned it, I think it's around almost 25 years now.
That's correct.
So how did you actually come up with this?
It came like a calling. 25 years ago, I was in a tailspin, questioning life, and we all get there at some point, and it was a rather incredible phenomenon where all of a sudden things started moving into place, and I spontaneously erupted in about 14 months of wide awake channel, and I was asking what I thought were simple questions, but they're big, broad questions. Why is this happening? How can this be? What's the purpose of this? And what I got was a download from Spirit on really how this entire dimension functions in purpose and reason, and how its bedrock, as you mentioned in the beginning, is bioenergy. And the first thing I'll tell everybody is that most people think of bioenergy as the vital life flow in the body, but it's far broader than that. It's everything from the energy of matter in its densest form through every energy vibration, all the way up through audio waves and X-rays to the energy of thought and spirit. And of course, vital life flow is in there. But it's all these various vibrations that are actually in conspiracy to create a life of purpose and reason for soul journeys. And so we all think there's a destiny, there's a fate. We all think of it as something that's carved in stone we're heading towards, but it's the journey. And those journeys are choreographed by what we would call karmic DNA. And karmic DNA is my coined name for it, as I'm writing 3 books on the subject to bring it to contemporary form, but it's thousands of years old. It's embedded in our oldest scriptures. It is a mathematical, functional, grounded, earthy system where we can identify any given person's prime focus of being and their auxiliary attributes. And it's big and broad. Medicine tries to do something like it by observation with Myers-Briggs, which has 4 archetypes and only 16 possible permutations to identify all humans, which is crazy. Karmic DNA has 10 archetypes, and the intermix of 10 archetypes in 10 different positions makes it absolutely unlimited complexity of the human condition. So this is the foundation of the karmic DNA and what it is.
Some of that.
Pardon?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt there, but it's interesting how, let's say, for example, like you went through your, I guess you could say, that awakening process of that 14 months of channeling. And it's weird because actually in a lot of ways, like even for myself, like, now granted it wasn't 20 some odd years ago, but let's put it this way, it was almost as if I was waking up getting downloaded every night, actually. It was just like I'd wake up and I would get smarter almost, or at least so it felt anyway, although contrary to some people's popular belief. But anyway, but the thing is that it's interesting because of the fact that I see such similarities between the way I would see things and the way that you are seeing things. So there's that underlying thread, once again, which seems to tie everything actually together, especially when it comes to energy.
Well, absolutely, and it's the wonderful thing of it is that there is really only one truth. There can be many different visions of it or vantage points or viewpoints of it, and it comes in different ways, but humanity is souls who are pieces of God, really in drag as humans. And we already know all of this, but we're here in amnesia. And it's a matter of waking up to it. And, and of course, there's reason for that. We won't get into that this time, but there's reasons why we're waking up now at this point in history.
And what is your interpretation of how or why we're waking up now, I guess you could say?
Well, that could take a whole show by itself, but basically I would tell you that humanity's had a purpose being here, and we fulfilled that purpose just about. And that purpose was about changing the depth of the negative energy of this dimension into positive polarity. It was dense negative polarity, and every time we confront an issue in conflict, we are bringing a positive solution, and we're like flipping that particle of energy, quantum mechanics, we're flipping that particle of energy from dense negativity to positive as we resolve the physical issue. And it's a matter of the fact that we have it even built into Scripture that there is an end time. So the end times is now, but it's not the end of it, it's the end of the work, because we have achieved positive polarity momentum. And so graduation started in, well, it was pulled in 1987, and graduation started in 1990 to 2002, where the entire energy construct of this dimension shifted. Our magnetic north pole shifted closer to true north. And we have physical, mechanical evidence of this, and it lessened the barrier of illusion from the barrier between us and our soul. It increased psychic phenomena broad scope. If you remember, the 1990s were full of psychic television. People were waking all right, left, and center. It was the same.
Well, actually,
and the
interesting thing is and the interesting thing is I was seeing that even because even with my dealings with various people, like as I, like when I teach and stuff like that too, like I've been seeing people like from, well, let's say for example, around that 2002 to about 2008, 2009, and even up to now for that matter, people are definitely still becoming very aware, sort of thing.
It's a long process to wake billions of people from a slumber of not believing and not knowing to getting closer to believing in soul and spirit and higher attributes. But it's appropriate because we're at graduation. We have achieved the positive polarity momentum in the globe. And I mean, that starts to sound like science fiction. Didn't really want to go there. I wanted to talk about karmic DNA today, but basically there is fundamental factual evidence in our physics that proves a lot of what I'm saying, and you could do a whole weekend seminar on this. But it's a matter of we're transitioning from a construct of energy that was based in conflict. Nothing could ever be achieved unless through conflict, because conflict was the mechanism of change, transforming negative particle energy in quantum construct to positive particles, flipping them like dominoes by resolving their negativity. Now we're into an entire energy system for the next 1,000 years of harmony and self-empowerment. So we went from conflict and surrender to harmony and self-empowerment. And that's why a lot of us who are born in the old energy right now are feeling like a little bit like fish out of water, because it's not that comfortable. We don't really understand what they're feeling, and we are perpetuating negativity.
Well, what do you mean by that? Now, that's an interesting statement that you actually just made there about us perpetuating the negativity. How are you interpreting that?
Let me tell you this way. If the task at hand which was identified on the first page of Christian scripture, and it's in all scriptures, but it came in a wording that said, "Go forth and subdue the earth."
Yeah.
And that was basically a charge to humanity, the legion of light workers, to go forth and overcome the negativity of this. And it fundamentally comes out in this primitive ideal of the fight between good and evil. So we go forth and we're confronting all this negativity. Okay? Now,
yes.
There's got to be somebody that's poking at issues to make something negative happen. So I look at it like a play of life. None of us have got through this without wearing a black hat or two. You know, in the cowboy movies, the black-hatted guy, he did the wrong thing. The white-hatted guy came and fixed the problem. So we're doing this for thousands of years, people poking and creating issues and negative problems to confront, and the guys in the white hats come charging in with their solution, and they change particle energy in the process, and we didn't even know we were doing this work. So interestingly enough, it's a conspiracy. It's a choreographed play of life where this dimension is based in pure potential. And that doesn't mean all positive or all negative. It means 100% positive possibility and 100% negative possibility. It's only our choice to do or go or be or whatever in that issue. So some of us have been doing negative things, causing others to confront that's our job, to confront the negativity and change it to positive. Well, we're still on autopilot. We still have people going out and doing their damnedest to create negative issues where they're not necessary anymore. Since 2002, we're moving more and more and more into a construct of harmony and self-empowerment. And so we don't need to do all that work anymore, but we were born in the old energy system. It's what we were weaned on. It's what we know. How to argue and fight is what we do best. It's been changing the globe.
Well, and that kind of makes sense considering, let's say, for example, the political structure out there nowadays, or even with the economic structure. Let's say, for example, and I know that my producer, Roz there, she's very passionate about, let's say, for example, like the pharmaceutical companies and so forth, because, of the monopolies and so forth in regards to them. But that's a whole other discussion altogether, too, once again. But the thing is that in the grander scheme of things, I guess you're right, like in a lot of ways is that, we don't need to have that anymore. But like you say, it's that aspect that we're basically born with. Now, that's when you actually start looking at it from the karmic or the DNA aspect of things, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, the karmic DNA is a fundamental engine that gives us the mulch, the fiber, the issues that we are going to focus on, that we are going to deal with and confront and change in our life. It's a fundamental choreography, and it's embedded in our electromagnetic structure, so that most people can see auras that can see auras about a few feet. Well, your auras can be measured as big as a house, and so when you start to realize that when we walk into the connection with someone else, the closer we are, the more connection there is. That psychic people can actually do the telepathy thing, feel them out. But the important thing is that the karmic DNA does an unsolicited handshake. And if my karmic DNA has the fundamental material to literally create and pose you an issue for you to confront, you're getting it. It's coming out of me like Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do it. Right? Yes.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, because it's interesting, too. Like, I noticed, let's say, for example, like in my readings and so forth, and I'll see it actually, let's say, for example, like when I have somebody in front of me and they can be of whatever culture throughout the world. And sometimes, let's say, for example, like, I'm not trying to stereotype anybody or anything like that, but let's say, for example, like some cultures throughout the Mediterranean countries and so forth, like there's a certain degree of, I guess you could say this, it's almost like they have this, let's call it superstition for that matter. Like they really hang on to it, and they've been taught that ever since children. But in essence, they're also, it's almost like it's inbred in them. Like, and for many of them, like they'll sit there and say, like, maybe my grandmother told me this or whatever, like having the malokia or whatever on them, which is that, that evil eye or whatever that was given to them, or whatever, like a curse sort of thing. But there's almost like a cultural almost within the society too that they hang on to, and which is actually very interesting, I find. And that's something that, let's put it this way, like from the individual's perspective, when it's ingrained very deeply within them, it's hard to let go sometimes. For them. And
programming.
And exactly, it's all that programming that they have there, and I guess that's the tricky part, or at least is to release that programming that everybody carries around. Very fascinating. It looks like we already have a caller, actually. So why don't we bring through? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that's the kind of programming that we get from our peers into our mind. But karmic DNA is an underlying structure we're not even aware of that plugs us into physics and creates synchronicity. It draws certain experiences and people to us with reason, to bring us to bear with the issues and challenges that we came to confront. And it's those very issues and challenges that we came to confront that happen all the time that cause us the most stress. And stress develops into illness. And illness, of course, like we don't even know that we have to fix the stress to get to the illness.
Yes, get to the underlying cause, so to speak, right?
That's right. The cause in the life. Our illness in our body is not in our body, it's in our life. The body, when you're born, is a fetus, is formed around soul consciousness, the energy of soul consciousness. And it's formed in your soul consciousness, so everything, it's like a hard drive now. Everything you think, say, and do in this lifetime becomes an addendum, a change to that soul conscious body of yours. And so whatever attributes it takes on, it's reflecting the perceptions you perceive of your life, good, bad, or indifferent. And for instance, I'll give you an example. If you have a telephone call and it's horrible news, somebody you care about has passed, you can feel the energy drain. You've got to sit down. And all you heard was words. I'm choosing the telephone because there's no other stimulus but words, and you feel your body, your hard drive just falling down. But on the other hand, if it was a call of good news, like you just got confirmed for your first mortgage, all of a sudden you feel elated and supercharged. You could dance till 4 in the morning.
Yes.
And this isn't emotions. This is bioenergy.
That's interesting. Okay. Very interesting.
Wow.
There's so many levels to this. That's the thing here. Like, okay. Oh, actually, well, like I was saying earlier, we do have a caller. So if Roz could put through caller 216, please, that would be much appreciated.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. And who may I ask are we talking to?
My name is Sharon. How are you this evening?
Hi, Sharon. I'm doing very well, Sharon. Thank you very much for calling. Now, do you have a question for Richard or myself?
Yeah, I called you actually maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was wondering, I have been trying to change careers for the past 2 years, and I did get a new career, and it didn't work out. It lasted 3 weeks. I didn't have the construction background that he was looking for. Do you see me, and I'm still getting calls on my resume because I wasn't there that long. Do you see me getting another offer somewhere?
Okay. Well, Richard, now, is that applicable within your system as well?
Yeah, we can look at that. If I can get her birth date and her last name.
You want my last name?
And your birthday?
My birthday is September 1st, 1965.
Okay.
And my last name's Peterson. Oh, I've never said that on a show. Peterson, Peterson, like Peter Pan.
RSON.
Yep.
Okay, and just let me get this in because...
Okay, and while Richard is doing that, I'm just going to give the cards a quick shuffle here as I kind of tune into this as well. And I'm kind of curious now to see if there's...
You picked up his energy. You picked up his negative energy, by the way. When remember I called, it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago? Yes.
Yes, okay. Oh, that's right. I think I remember now, vaguely anyway, but okay. So
I know.
let's put it this way.
I'm glad you didn't remember.
Well, let's put it this way, though. What I am getting here is that I do see you going through a bit of a process here. So in other words, yes, there is going to be, from my end of things anyway, I am getting that, okay, you're going to have to get back out there and start kind of, I guess you could say, yeah, good, I'm glad. And yes, I am getting a little bit of, let's put it this way, some frustration and so forth coming from you. A little bit of ups and downs, that type of thing. But in the long run, what I am kind of getting here actually is that there's going to end up being a choice here between two other companies, is what I'm actually kind of getting here. Once the dust settles a little bit, I am kind of getting that there is going to be a couple of companies that are actually going to probably start vying for your attention here once the like I said, once I guess you could say the resumes go out and the interviews and so forth get all done. But I do see some really good things happening here. I do see you getting something. I am getting you actually signing some forms here, so this is a good sign. And for me, I'm actually getting roughly around the October-ish. Possibly maybe a little bit earlier. But like I said, I got a funny feeling you're going to have to kind of debate whether or not if it's going to be one or two different companies sort of thing.
Oh, thank God. I didn't think that this job was going to end. It was good pay and everything, but it wasn't told in the beginning what I needed, and it just, whatever. I'm over it. The dust has already settled. Believe me. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Let me chime in.
What about you,
Richard?
Yes, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Your karmic DNA, your life cycle this year is the third year of seeding a new beginning, and so it's very possible to be seeing a new beginning this year. And there was a fertile point, but it kind of had Murphy sitting on its shoulder back in May. But another fertile point, Dennis suggested October. I would say that maybe the early part of October, but more so September, is a very powerful, transformative energy that you're going to be in that month, and it's weeks of abundance. So it's like this is success on a business level in that energy. So be very potent and powerful about getting yourself out there through the August-September period. I guess that's right now. I'm thinking. I know.
Believe me, I already started.
Yeah, and the fruits are going to really start to hang on the tree in September. There's going to be opportunity doors. Watch for them. Don't miss an opportunity door. And so you're looking at that. There's also a very potent, powerful time in the first part of November. Possibly that's the time when you ask for the increase after the probation period. But But this is definitely energy of your life cycle year this year in karmic DNA. Your own karmic DNA, what you're here doing is you have a very strong drive and high analytical mind of strategy. Is usually the most skeptical of all the codes. So it's like you're kind of interested in all of this, but you don't know what to make of it. You cross your fingers, but it's like there's always strategy codes always have their feet firmly planted on the ground, and they want to see some kind of hard proof. And yet you have an extraordinary powerful creative side. I mean, strategy is all that high intellect to do any kind of detail work. It's like my pet name for strategy is Mr. Spock. But you have a ton of creative ability in both pioneering and self-expression. And then you have also 3 codes of reflection, which is a problem solver. So you're a huge asset to any company. I don't know what kind of work you're doing, but this is a very, very powerful life agenda to put forth in business.
I was in financial for 20 years. I'm trying to get into a different direction. That's my goal is. So.
Mm-hmm. Can you use all that high-powered intellect and other things other than bean counting?
Yeah. Well, the good news, then I'll let you go. The good news about this is my girlfriend's a recruiter. It happened Thursday. My job ended, and then I had a temp job. She got me one on Friday, so I'm there for 2 weeks this week and next, which is really good. So that'll supplement until I find what I want.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, like I said, I think you're going to do very well. I don't think, and obviously, like Richard basically just confirmed that with me there. So, yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you as well. So, like I said, I think things are going to work out very, very well. Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Our pleasure. Okay, well, that was fascinating. Now, it's actually kind of neat, actually, to see, like, how, let's say, for me, it's basically just kind of like a psychic / whatever, because I just kind of tune into the energy of the person. But you're actually getting this from, well, how are you deriving the archetypes and so forth? Like, how did you come up with all of those?
Just now or originally?
Well, let's put it this way. Maybe both. How's that?
Okay.
Because
originally,
I noticed that
this came in a download from Spirit that I didn't want to believe until I went around hunting for corroboration. I found it in ancient scripture. So originally, it came as an answer to, why did she do those things?
Oh, okay.
And then it mushroomed into, my God, this tells you everything why people are doing things and why they're troubled by them and why they have to confront them and da-da-da-da-da. And so it became wow, this is a powerful tool for anyone. And it grew. And since then, I have basically mushroomed this. People can go to KarmicDNA.com, one of my websites, and put their birthday and their name in, and they can download a PDF sampler of their chart. It's hard fact. It's like, this is, I'm intuitive, yes, but this is actually done very hard fact, custom to the person, and it's never wrong. It's always bang on right. While you get the sampler, you can see the chart, you can see what's in your chart, but if I told somebody all about the karmic date, it could take 2 or 3 hours. So there's a lot of information. And you get a couple of pages as a little dissertation on what the top 3 influences are. But and each of the archetypes in karmic DNA have a half a dozen major challenges that are embedded in your life that you have to master this lifetime. So so the challenges bring forth what you're doing, and it's kind of like the mechanics under the statement, God never gives you anything you can't handle. Because if you have challenges coming at you, I can guarantee you got the tools in the box. You may not have found them. You may not have used them enough to polish their use and master them. But whatever comes at you is purposeful, and you have the tools in the box to deal with that. And it's literally, you're plugged into physics to draw these things purposely, and you're enabled, you're empowered to master them. And so how I did it here just now is that I had a computer programmer. I guided him in how and what I needed in mathematics to create the chart. I created the graphics for the chart, and you can get that at the website. But I have a special app on my PC right here, and I put her name and birthday in seconds. It pulled up her chart, and I could see what was there quickly and instantly. I used to do shows where I'd sit there for 15 minutes and hand do the mathematics, and people get really bored. Are you done yet? But because I would be silent for 10 or 15 minutes while I worked it up, and then I could talk. And now I can do.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I have that. I also have a chart in front of me of life cycles. Every year, every month is a different theme of energy with it. And your chart actually tells me what cycle year you're in and the month we're at, et cetera. It can tell me what I need to tell you about your cycle. So, it's all very, very analytical now. In the beginning, it was like, wowzer, coming from channel, because it really did answer why my wife did what she did.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, actually. Now, let's say, for example, with our last caller, and I don't know if you still have your information up on the thing there or on your computer there, but the interesting thing is what kinds of things would hold her back Okay, so let's say, for example, if somebody is trying to, let's say even for myself, let's say if I'm trying to do something, and yes, like, let's put it this way, I put myself out on various things, but does it show, like, maybe, like, some of the stumbling blocks that I would have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can tell her, I'm sure she's still listening, I can tell her that when I'm looking at her chart, I see 5 archetypes, and out of 5 archetypes, there's a half a dozen challenges with each of them. She has 2 originality codes, 2 optimism codes. They both have a similar challenge. Optimism has a challenge with self-doubt, and originality has a challenge with confidence. And this is that eternal bird in her ear going, I don't know if I should, I don't know if I can, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it can hold your feet in the mud.
I see, okay. Well, that's fascinating.
It's a self-judgment, a self-accounting, but she has others. Like reflection has a big challenge with trust. She's probably experienced more broken trust in her life than most people. So there's a reason for this. It's not just to drag her sorry soul through the mud. That reason for that challenge with trust is teaching her how to use her inner gifts. She's supposed to stop these things before they happen, and she ignores the gift. It's going to get whacked up the side of the head with a broken trail, right? So these things are there creating the mulch of the life we're living to give us the very things that we're going to do to confront challenges of negativity and flip them to positive in the grand scheme of what humanity is doing here. Amazing.
That is a very interesting tool that you managed to create there, and I definitely give you credit for doing that, actually, because that's amazing. That's an amazing tool.
I've done a lot of creating, but most of it, the meat of it, came from channel, and so the creating is putting it into contemporary context as opposed to 2,000-year-old context, and moving it into a wording that people can recognize, like originality as a pioneering inventor, or optimism as an artist, author, performer. She has both of these codes, lots of creativity here, but literally enough creativity to hold her back. I mean, her creativity exceeds Meryl Streep. And so while Meryl got her tools out of the box and got using them and has made an extraordinary creative life out of it, this lady, Sharon, has more challenge to get those tools out of the box. And on top of that, for instance, her strategy code signature, the main event of her life, which is that high intellect, Mr. Spock type of intellect, is very skeptical and rigid, and it wants rules and structure. And the creative codes, they need to be set free. You can't be creative inside the box. So there's an internal conflict with her going on. And so this is the kind of life counsel that I do in my office or via Skype when people come forward and they want to know how to master their life. I teach them how to master their life, because while these codes are in conflict, they don't have to be. Knowing they're there is half the battle. Knowing what the challenges are and how to deal with each challenge individually is empowering. And then to have that power go from autopilot, where things are, you just reacting, according to whatever tool's thrust in your hand on autopilot, you look at a situation and go, wait a minute, I know my biggest tool is this, but it's not the best tool I have for this situation. My best tool is down here. So you reach into the toolbox, you pull out the best tool, you put down the one that was thrust into your hand, and you take manual control of your life. And
that's the thing. That's an interesting point, actually, because, like, I know even for myself, too, and I'm sure that many of our listeners out there as well, let's put it this way. Yes, we become versed or well-versed in all the things that we could do to make ourselves better, and heaven knows, let's put it this way, there's a ton of channels out there on, let's say, whether it be Facebook or whatever, on thinking positive, and or if you listen to Tony Robbins, he's got his way of looking at things, and there's an underlying aspect, actually, in many ways to all of it, But it's nice to be able to actually, let's say, for example, like you're saying, is to take one of those tools and to be able to, like you say, like where it's individual for that person and their archetype. That's very fascinating. Like, trust me. Let's put it this way. Right now, I'm tempted to sign up for one of your sessions now,
for sure.
sort of thing, because it's a fascinating subject here. That's for sure.
No, I can tell you this.
Thing.
Is that when I did a practitioner's course 10 years ago, okay?
Yes.
And when I was teaching the group, there was 4 people initially, and for one reason or other, only one graduated, and she is practicing successfully, Rose Soroyan, in Port Credit, Ontario, ever since. It's like 12 years now.
Okay.
But anyways, the thing is that when I give the practitioner's course, I told them, you're never going to understand the power of bioenergy therapy because it's armed with karmic DNA and biosymbology, hidden information that isn't anywhere but here, and it's custom. So you're never going to really realize the power of this until you're sitting across from the table with someone, and instead of giving them boilerplate answers like everybody's got a solution, you're actually looking at their karmic DNA and you're counseling them to do something you yourself would never do in a million years. Because it's not your life.
Yes. Wow.
It's custom. It's right to
now
what came with a soul.
Okay. Now you just basically touched on the biosymbology.
Biosymbology.
Did I pronounce that right? I hope I did. Anyway, so how is that different than what we were just discussing in regards to the karmic DNA, or is it? Or is it all tied together somehow?
Well, they are 2 very separate bodies of evidence. And biosymbology is a coined name, like karmic DNA. I coined it, and it means bio. Bio means life. So life symbolic, life science. This is a new science. And it's a look at, everybody's heard of body symbology. Louise Hay was the frontierswoman in this area. But everything that's been done in biosymbology or body symbology so far has been fairly shallow. It's been fairly consumeristic, where it's, okay, well, if you got this going on, try and use this affirmation so you might feel better or it might go away. Biosymbology is right now the culmination of over 20 years of my research and study, and it's the most deep description of body symbology that has ever been done. And a third of it is available at my website called biosymbology.com as downloadable files. There are 240 files so far. That's a third. The next, that's all parts of the body and what they do in it. But believe me, it's in some cases it's so rich with different meaning that you can actually start to understand. Wow, this is the body part. This is what it means. And when it's vibrating in disorder, it's actually telling me something about my life, and the symbology is there. It's telling you where to look in the stress history to find this issue in your life to figure out what's going on that's causing this meaning. And essentially what you can do with this is you can say, well, if I fix how I deal with this issue or how I did deal with it, if I change my mind on it, those memories are being recorded to cellular structure. Now they're being recorded differently. They were recorded in a negative vibration. They're deteriorating and causing illness, causing cancer, cancer is the energy of thought slowing down in vibration until it becomes matter where matter shouldn't be, because thought's transiting your body all the time. So what happens is that if you can figure out what the cause was and resolve the issue, you're changing the way that memory is being recorded to cellular structure, and then the body has got to respond and act accordingly. And medicine will call that spontaneous remission. Biosymbology, the other two-thirds.
I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. Like that's something that I'm a firm believer in. Like even as let's say, for example, because like for myself anyway, like as a consulting hypnotist or whatever, let me put it to you this way, like, like I'll take somebody into a regression or something like that, but basically what it comes down to, though, is that when they realize, like what was going on at that time, let's say whether it be in the past or even for some people in a past life or whatever, like all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they just kind of go like, oh my goodness, yes, you're right, like, and then things change and their body changes and as the result, like, and I've seen some.
Exactly.
And I've seen some incredible things, and I'm sure you have too, or whatever. But I was reading through your.
One fellow that came to me on daily doses of morphine that couldn't completely cut the pain, and he had demyelinating polyneuropathy. That's where the myelin sheathing on the nerves in his extremities, arms and legs, is worn away and cross-circuiting. Touching a smooth surface caused him pain. Walking across the kitchen floor in bare feet caused him pain, like he was walking on gravel. And in actual fact, we went in, it took me 3 years, weekly sessions, but we went in and hunted for the origin of cause, and he ended up with, at 7 weeks, he left my office and forgot his cane. The doctor's, the neurosurgeon's prognosis, you're going to a wheelchair, we can't stop it. At 11 months, he told the neurosurgeon no more heavy drugs, because every 3 months they change him up from some morphine to this or that or the other thing. Well, he was on a morphine patch at that point, and they were going to change him up. He goes through 2 weeks of withdrawal, and he goes in to see the neurosurgeon and says, I don't want any more heavy drugs. And he says, well, you're going to want the drugs. Instead of coming and seeing me 3 months, you come back in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, he came back and said, I'm now handling my pain with over-the-counter Tylenol. He went from a morphine patch to OTC Tylenol because we were resolving those issues that were causing him, right? So interesting that he actually, the doctor at that point said, like, what is this? What's going on? I gave them a 27-page brief on what we do here. And, and
just 27 pages?
They put him through a battery of tests, and they said, well, this is completely changed. They downgraded his diagnosis to something that doesn't have a name because they've never seen this happen before. And at 36 months, he was doing woodworking with power tools, no pain and no drugs.
Amazing.
He recovered the myelin. And in neuroscience today, that's not possible. Now, I didn't do it. All I did was guide him to figure out what the heck this was presenting to him, because your body is a hard drive. It is talking to you every day about what's going on in your life. You get up with a pain, it isn't just it's telling you something about what happened yesterday. And you should be paying attention and doing something about it. So you look at it and say, we do all this all the time. We leave it behind, and it builds up. It builds up and builds up until the body screams at you and gives you such an ultimatum with some kind of symptom that you just can't go on anymore. He was on long-term disability for 5 years before I met him. I mean, at one point, biweekly blood transfusions, and he was getting better. And they sent him back to his job on half days, and within 2 weeks, the blood transfusions wouldn't work anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
He couldn't go to work because his work was toxic to him.
Oh, I see. And it's just the underlying thought and whatever that is associated with the work that basically created
he decided to do a half day's work, even light duty. He was a foreman, and he was now doing a lot of work in office. But being in that environment was toxic to him because of the way his karmic DNA was. He was actually a healer.
Oh, really?
And he couldn't do anything. They wouldn't allow him, the people under him. He tried to help them in their lives and coach them and guide them, and that was fulfilling him. And the company kept coming down and hitting him on the head and saying, you can't do that. Don't do that. It's not what we do here.
Oh.
And
and unfortunately,
on his life purpose, and it was toxic. He couldn't exist in that environment. That was only one of the reasons. But when we talk about this, we start to realize how poignant and powerful this really is. This is like everything in life has reason, and when you figure out what the reason is, if it's causing a disorder and you fix the reason, that disorder must withdraw because technically you took its purpose away. Spiritually, it has a right, a sanction to be there talking to you, telling you, go fix this. And when you fix it, it no longer has a reason. It has to withdraw. I've got hundreds and hundreds of people who used to have fibromyalgia and don't. One case is 19 years symptom-free this year.
Really?
Yes.
Now,
I've never
that's
met a
interesting
case of
for any
fibromyalgia.
of their...
I cracked.
Yeah.
Because fibromyalgia is all over body symptom because the stresses are all over the 5 energy centers. Each energy center has a theme of thought that it processes. Yeah. And if you're stressed in all 7 themes of thought, you're having all over body pain. And doctors can't figure that out. That one case that's 19 years symptom-free, she had fibromyalgia. Yeah. She got it at age 38, right after 3 weeks after a car accident. And so doctors pointed to the car accident. Somehow the car accident is causing the fibromyalgia. But when I went hunting, all of the reason for her fibromyalgia was prior to age 22, from age 3 to 22. And in that time period, when we got down to brass tacks and resolved the issues that were there, the fibromyalgia backed right off. Now, she was unlocked, not feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling vital. She was unlocked from the age of 22 until the age of 38 when she actually had the physical catalyst that shook her system so much that it would bring out all those symptoms.
See, and there's such an increase in fibromyalgia over the past, let's call it 15, 20 years now. It's almost as if and it's almost as if the medical world is almost like, it's almost like they're denying it, because they're almost saying like, you don't have a pain. It's all in your head. And
you can look at cases of diabetes exactly the same way. Because diabetes has been on the rise for the last 20 years. And I'm going to ask you, what else, Dennis, has been on the rise in the last 20 years?
That makes sense.
Stress.
Yeah. Well,
our
and population
that's the thing is overstressed. Yeah. Diabetes is a symptom in the body that says, I'm perceiving life as a bitter pill.
That's an interesting one, because, and that one actually hits home with me because of the fact that I got diagnosed with it. So chances are I'm actually going to have to, go on some pills here myself to manage it, which I'm not particularly fond of doing because I'm not a real big pill sort of fan. But let me put it to you this way. It's just a matter of, I'm determined to beat this.
So we have to talk. I have 3 cases of diabetes in remission. One I did remotely.
Oh, really?
That Kitchener show where you and I met?
Yes.
I was there 2 years ago. About 4 years ago, I did a lecture there, and I talked about diabetes. And a year later, a guy came rushing into the show and right up to my booth, and he said, I got to talk to you. I'm a healer like you. And I told that story that you told at that lecture last year, and I told it to one of my clients who got diabetes.
Yes.
He doesn't have diabetes today.
Amazing.
Knowledge is power. When you start to understand the reason for things, you can overcome it.
See, and that's the thing. Like, for many of us out there, like whether it be myself or anybody else for that matter, like, it's very hard to look at ourselves in a very clear and, I guess you could say, very, I don't want to call it dispassionate, but just in a very, almost in a more, where we could actually intellectualize, like, okay, what is kind of happening, what is going on, why is it going on, because all of those other things that start to flow in there, and it's obviously we can't self-diagnose. It's very difficult to do that. But that's where something like what you offer or whatever can be very good for, anybody else to, let's put it this way, kind of look at it and go like, oh, yeah. I never really put that together or put A and B together to make that C, sort of thing. And this is a very strong tool to be able to use.
Absolutely. Well, it's like realizing that fibromyalgia is all over body symptoms, but it's also one disease that lots of people have and nobody has the same a la carte list of symptoms.
Yes.
There's 28 physical symptoms, 11 mental emotional symptoms, and everybody's got their own a la carte list. Why? Doctors can't figure out why it hits people differently. Well, guess what? Nobody has the same life history. Nobody has the same stress history. So when we go surgical accuracy into life purpose and figure out what kind of challenges, what's happened in your life I mean, this is a system of like nautical navigation, where you have a buoy and a point and a lighthouse, and you see the triangular fix. Well, here is the cause. So the karmic DNA tells you what kind of stresses they have. The body symbology, the biosymbology tells me what the body's explaining, what it's talking about, and then their own story about what's happened in their life. This is converging on a fix that shows you where the cause is for any disorder. It's analytical. It's what I do.
That's amazing. That's amazing stuff there, because I know that there's a lot of people out there, and let's say whether it be fibromyalgia or a lot of those other chronic sort of things, that do seem to plague us. And like you say, like maybe it just comes right down to like, okay, where's the stress affecting what part of the body? And what is causing that stress? And it's like you say, maybe it's the life purpose or the life goal, I guess you could say, or the soul's purpose, needs to be understood a little bit deeper, for everybody, and that's, something that I'm a firm believer in, like once we start connecting to that, that's when we actually start making some real serious headway in regards to our own, not just the spiritual aspect, but even just living our lives physically. There's so much room here, for growth and for people to really understand that, oh my God, here we go. Here's something that is, for you individually. But unfortunately, here in North America, let's put it this way: here's a pill. It'll make you feel better for a few hours, and that's the sad part about it.
Physical intervention, it doesn't matter what it is. Even energy treatment is just a Band-Aid unless you get to the cause.
And that's exactly a very good point.
That's the place I'm at, where I'm even different from most what they call alternative medicines. I call it allied medicine because we should all have the same focus, your health. But the idea is that if all we're going to do is intervene in the body, then we're missing the boat. Because the body is a symptom of consciousness when you're born. Now we've got a symptom of consciousness that has been messed up with other factors, and so we're going to tinker with the body. We'll get an effect, we'll get a result, but don't stop taking the pills or the herbs or the treatments, because it'll come back. I had people with fibromyalgia that had never had a recurrence. All of them. Hundreds of them.
Amazing. So anyway, we're down to our last... I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I know that I could talk to you for hours about this type of stuff. Let me put it to you that way. But we are down to our last, let's call it 4 minutes here. So I do want to make certain, though, that if there's anything that you got coming up, or if there's anything you want to promote, let's say, because I know that you had that excerpt of that one chapter that you sent me, which was amazing, actually. Like, I know that a lot of people would resonate with it. Yeah. But that's another. I'll probably have you back on. Let's put it that way.
Well, let me tell you this: that yes, I do karmic DNA counsel for life empowerment via Skype all the time. Okay. We set it up by appointment, through email transfers, whatever. But people can connect with me by sending me an email to richard@bioenergytherapy.com. They can go to any one of my websites and send a link through there, from bioenergytherapy.com, KarmicDNA.com, biosymbology.com. There's a ton of information. They can read, and they can connect with me. We can make arrangements to give them a counsel, or even an introductory counsel over Skype, and or at my office if they're more local. I do this all the time. It's my livelihood for the last 2 decades. Well, it's almost 25 years now. So yeah, they can reach me that way, and I do promote that there's help out there. There's wisdom out there to help people, and it's kind of funny, Dennis. I help a lot of people who have either a physical or emotional illness or something going on, but then I have their friends phone up and they say, "Do you have to be sick?" And I say, no, you don't have to be sick, because this is an empowerment tool for everyone.
Let's try to get it before you're sick. And that's half the battle, right? It's all prevention if we can do it. The trick is to realize that
the information early, you can sidestep a whole lot of problems, a whole lot of illness.
Gotcha. Well, thank you once again, Richard, for joining me today. Like I said, it's just you're just a wonderful fountain of knowledge here. That's for sure. And I definitely enjoyed having you on, and I'll definitely have you come back. Then we can maybe get into one of the other things that you do here, that's for sure.
Yep.
And once again, if you want to reach Richard, your email again was?
Richard@bioenergytherapy.com.
Perfect. Okay, and mine
and they
is...
can go to KarmicDNA.com and get a sampler free of their own life purpose chart and a little dissertation about what's in there.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much once again, Richard. And my name is Dennis, and you can reach me at mail@dennisjanderson.com or onto my website at dennisjanderson.com as well. And for all of you out there, I am very grateful for you all tuning in, and for that wonderful lady that called in earlier, so that we could kind of, let's put it this way, kind of give Richard's equipment a little bit of a test there to see how it works, and obviously it works very well. And on that note, I do, like I said, I thank everyone, and I will be with you again next week on Monday. Next Monday, I'm not certain if I have a guest, and I'm trying to get Patrick Ware on, actually. He's one of my friends there that I definitely like to harass. So anyway, welcome good night, everyone, and have yourself a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth, get amazing services. Thank you.